This is episode 71 of season 2 of the Launch Your Biz Now podcast, the podcast for all new and aspiring business owners. Hello, Sarah Stowe here. So nice to have you with me. And in today's episode, I wanted to start introducing you to the Business Brains Money Method. This is something I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking through for the next few weeks or until we get bored of talking about it together, because it is a lot of fun. So as most of you know, my background is in finance. So numbers and money are one of the main things I think about and talk about. And I believe by having a good understanding of money and your numbers, it gives you so much control of your life and business and, just the world. Where our economies run on currency. It's the thing that runs the world. Money runs the world. You can either be scared of that, be nervous of that, and let that hold you back, or you can own that and understand that and use it to your advantage. And that's what I want you to do. So, the funny thing about this is I spend a lot of time on this podcast and in general talking about all sorts of other areas, marketing and different things. But this is the area that I probably think about the most and probably talk about the least, because for me, it's not something I'm learning about all the time, because it just comes naturally to me and I just sort of know this. But what I've realized is, you take for granted what you know, and it's usually what you know and you find really easy that other people really, really want to know. And I've realized that I am actually underserving you by not talking about this more and not sharing what I am doing, because I know it's something that people really, really struggle with in business, is to understand their money and in personal life. So I wanted to talk to you today about the Business Brains Money Method. So this is something that I've had in my course right from the start, but it is developing and it is huge. So I have had a bit of a breakthrough with this, and I have taken it up to the next level, and I am very, very excited for what this is going to look like in the future, and how we can use understanding the Business Brains Money Method to then leverage and understand our business. So, a couple of things that I think people struggle with business is they don't know how to manage their business cash flow or what they're doing. They're just sort of, it's in the too hard basket, so they're leaving it to their accountant and they're just letting it do its thing. And they also don't know, they've got goals for their business and they know where they want to go, but they don't know how to get there. And by using the Business Brains Money Method, not does it just give you a way to manage your money, but it also gives you a way to tangibly manage your growth for your business and know what your business needs to get to where you want your business to be. Pretty powerful, yeah? And I think I've just taken this to the next level. So, it's exciting. I haven't been able to sleep for the last week, because I don't know about you, but when I have a breakthrough, in my thinking or what I'm doing, it consumes me. And this has been absolutely consuming me. And I am that excited to roll it out. I'm about to roll these changes out and these new learnings and implementations out in my Launch Your Biz Now course with the students in that. And I am very excited. I've done a test run in my business and in my mum's business. So we have added in these extra steps to that, and it is awesome, game changing. The feedback has been overwhelming. So I'm excited to see how it goes when we roll this out for the Launch Your Biz Now students. But today I just wanted to give you a bit of an intro and dive into what it is I'm talking about, so you can start considering this stuff for your business and understand why it's so powerful. Okay, so the Business Brains Money Method. So the premise of this, first of all, was I wanted a cash flow management system that was simple. Too many businesses are having money come in, having money going out, and then, maybe if they're lucky, getting a copy of their profit and loss from their accountant or their bookkeeper, looking at that, not really sure what they're looking at, just seeing they've got profit, and that's it. And maybe at the end of the tax year, they're sitting down with their accountant to find out whether they've actually made money, or how much tax they have to pay, but don't really have an understanding of anything more than that. So I want to give people that. And I think too often it's in the accounting world terms. And to be honest, that just doesn't make sense for most people. And it honestly doesn't make sense for us to run our businesses using those terms and the old school systems that the accountants use, because they're looking at different things. They're looking at it in what's it the word? They're looking at it from looking back on it. Whereas we need to be looking towards the future in our business. If we're looking back on our business, we're too late to the game. So we need to be looking forward and understanding how our numbers are working so we can make real change and implement things as we need to continue to make sure this business grows. So, hats off to the accountants that do cash flow planning and stuff, but I have definitely found in my experience and from speaking to people that it's still in the accountant terminology, which is quite hard to understand unless you have an accounting degree or a background in that area. So, what I wanted to do was make it simple. So, back up a second again. When I was in my finance business, I had a budgeting system that I put together for people to do personal budgeting. So this was the 50/30/20 budgeting system: 50% on expenses, 30% on spending, 20% in savings. So that's the golden rule. That's what I did. It broke down into a lot of different things. But that was the framework for it. And honestly, it makes budgeting so easy. So you work out what those percentages are based on your wage and you allocate them to each. And if you're doing that, then you know you're going to be hitting your financial goals and you're in a pretty good place financially. So, what I was thinking and what I'd sort of implemented but hadn't really hashed out to the level that I have now is this bucket system in my business. So, what I wanted to do was make it as easy as my personal budget was. So, for my personal budget, I've, different accounts for each of these percentages. So, I knew when looking at my bank account, anytime straight away how much money I've got to spend, how much money I've got sitting there for bills, how much money I've got in savings, all these sorts of areas. Like it was really, really clear and obvious when I logged onto my net bank exactly where I was sitting at any one time. And I knew I had money allocated for upcoming bills or, for whatever it might be for, getting my hair done, all those sorts of things were taken care of. So I didn't need to think about it. I didn't need to watch my money. It's not about, analyzing what you spend. It's about just understanding how it works and then using that understanding to make your life easier. So I wanted to apply this same system with my business. And I had been. So I have multiple bank accounts set up. Whenever income comes into the business, it gets split out into percentages into each of these different accounts. This helps me to be able to easily manage, what money I've got to spend on marketing, what money I've got to spend on fixed expenses, what money I've got to spend on tax and GST, what money I've got for my income, what money I'm building up for my buffer and my profit, for staff, like all of these areas, they're all accounted for. So this is the first stage of the money method, the business brains money method. So first of all, we allocate it into 7 different bank accounts. So these bank accounts are made up of fixed expenses, variable expenses. So the variable expenses of what I call the cost to serve. So, for every dollar that you make, how much of that is related to the actual cost to serve that customer? So this could be product costs, such as material costs, purchasing anything that is used to make that item. It could be marketing to sell that item. Anything that sort of falls under a cost that's directly related to selling the good. Whereas the fixed costs are the things that you need to pay to open the door. So they're the rent, insurances, electricity, gas, internet, all those sorts of things that, if you decide to close the business for a couple of weeks, you are still paying those bills. They fall under fixed costs. Variable costs, if you decide not to open the business, you're not paying these because you're not selling anything. So that's that. Then you've got income. So I think one of the first things we need to do to start building a good business is set to have our income the same. So as the business owner, our income the same as if we were doing this role in another business. What would we be getting paid? because that's the first thing. We don't want you to create yourself a job, or worse, create yourself something that's not even giving you the income that you were getting in your job. Obviously, we've got a bit of a startup period that you're going to go through where you might not have this, but we want to make that as short as possible. And we want to build in that we're trying to get to this point. So, if you could go and do your role as a manager managing someone else's business in your industry for, say, $100,000 a year, that should be what income you're taking for your business. So we'd allocate that minus tax into the income fund and set that percentage. Then we have your tax and GST. So this is your personal tax that we'd put in here. GST you'd put in here if you're in Australia, or whatever tax you have for your country. And any of your staff's tax would go into here. So this is a holding count. So whenever we're taking tax, whether we're paying that for staff or taking it in GST or for ourselves, we've got to remember we're just holding that for the ATO or for the government in your area. So an account, so that's allocated aside. I think this is pretty standard practices. Most businesses have a tax and GST account that they put that into. And if you don't, this is definitely the first step that you should be doing. So it's out of sight, out of mind. Next account is your staff account. So this would be where staff costs are put into. And I also find with staff that people forget all of the extra costs. So they forget, work cover. They forget the staff, what software costs you're paying for staff for them to be on board, what training costs you're going to have to pay, all of these extra costs, putting money aside for long service, putting money aside for when they've got leave, like all those sorts of things. We want to have that sitting in this account ready to go. So the way that I set up the money method, we allocate money to that. So there's never an issue if somebody, takes long service leave or, anything like that, because you've got the money there because you've been allocating it to that thing. So, that's staff. Again, their tax goes into the tax and GST account, and this is all worked out in the Business Brains money method. And then we have the buffer account. So in the buffer account, I like to build up 3 months worth of expenses for the business. So if something goes wrong, you've got at least 3 months worth of money sitting there. So that's there. Then once we've hit that 3-month mark for this buffer account, everything over top of that gets shifted across into our profit account. And this is the golden goose, guys. This is the reason we set up our businesses in the first place, to make more money. For whatever things you might be saying, these are the 4 things that I think people most often set up businesses for. Make money, make an impact, have more freedom, or have more flexibility. So to be able to do those last 3 things, impact, freedom, and flexibility, you need money. So even if money is not the number one thing driving you, I promise you, without making money, you aren't going to be able to achieve the other 3 things. It's as simple as that. So with the profit account, this is the extra money we're making. This is the point of having a business. The income account was just paying you an income. That's just paying your wages if you were doing this in any business. The profit account is what's setting this apart. This is what makes having a business worth having for. So we're building up the money in here. Then it's building up, building up, building up. Every 3 months we sit down and we do a profit allocation. So this is exciting. So this is a little present for you. So 50% of that money either stays in the profit account and builds up in there, or you use it on a capital expense that's going to improve your business. So this isn't an everyday expense for your business. This is something extra. It's above that. So, it's something that you can continue to grow your business, and you can know you're growing it because you've got this money sitting there. So it's, it's a bit exciting. It's something a bit extra. The other 50% is for you. So you personally can use that for whatever you want. You can take it out. You can use it on anything that you want to use it for, whether that's going on a holiday, just doing something for you. And I want to make sure that you do this, because this is, again, going to say this is the benefit of being a business owner. So make sure you reward yourself for this. So that's really exciting. The other thing I love to do with it, so I haven't spoke about this on the podcast yet, but I have this thing called the 1% pledge. So I pledge to donate 1% of my income to a charity or something that, a charity, to try and make the world better. So, I apply the same principle with my business. So the 1%, so that would be 10% of my profit, that's what's in that account, could donate to charity. So maybe that's something that resonates with you as well, and something I do talk about when I'm giving or going through my Business Brains money method. Okay, so that's it in a nutshell how it works. So first of all, we work out what your percentages are now in your business. So obviously for that, we need to have a bit of history to look back on. So if your business is a startup, we're going to have to set it up on guesstimates to start with, and you have to tweak and sort of work it out as you go. But the best thing is by starting your business and implementing these practices to start, it makes it really, really easy to continue with it. So it's actually quite easy doing it from a startup point of view. Obviously, some of these will be a bit different when you're starting up because your income is going to be a lot smaller, so your fixed costs are going to be a high percentage, all these sorts of things, but that's okay. For an established business, look at 12 months of your income, work out what you're currently spending in each of these buckets, and I've got a list of how these are all mapped out. And then from there, we want to set goal percentages. So it's all good and well to have where we want where our money is going now. But if we set up your accounts just based off that, you would never improve. It would just be remaining where you're at, which, if you're listening to this podcast, for example, there's a good chance you're wanting your business to be a bit better than that. So the next thing we need to do is work out how to grow our business. And this is where this gets really, really special. So your first layer you could do is just manage your money like that. But let's take it to this next level. We can use these numbers and understanding these numbers to upscale and leverage our business and know exactly where we need to spend money, invest time, and invest work to improve our business. Powerful, hey? So this is where it gets exciting. So we need to have a plan of where you want your business to go. And then I've put together the tools so we can easily work that out into goal percentages. So I've done a lot of research to work out what profitable businesses should be spending in each of these areas and looked at, when I say I've done a lot of research, ChatGPT has done the research for me, which is amazing. But we've researched all sorts of different business types. So service-based businesses, retail business, e-commerce businesses, online businesses, you name it. I've done the research to work out where these percentages should sit for the top profitable businesses in those industries. So based on your industry type, what you should be spending on staff, what you should be spending on cost of goods, what you should be spending on expenses, what you should be taking as an income, and what a good profit margin is for that business type. So I've got all of that together, which is really powerful. Then what you're going to find is there's probably a gap. So where you are now to where you want to be, these desired levels, there's going to be a gap. Then we need to work out how to bridge that gap and how to get you from where you are now to that point where you're going to have all the freedom, the flexibility, the impact, and the money that you want. And that's how we map out with the Business Brains money method what the goals are and the plans are for the business. And this is so powerful. So by just giving you a few examples. So if we're looking at this and your goal percentage for your variable expenses is 30% and currently you're 40% for your expenses, then we'd sort of go, okay, well, all right, now we know that's the problem in my business. What's the way and the levers we can pull to adjust that to where we want it to be? And you could go, okay, well, to bring that down, I could turn over more money. All right, what are things that I need to do to turn over money? I need to increase lead generation coming into my business. I could, increase conversion rate to sales of people buying my product. There's a couple of things that you could do right there. The other thing that you could do is go, all right, well, in that case, I need to reduce costs. So the other thing you could look at is going, all right, well, now I need to review my cost to bring that percentages down so I can get it from 40% to 30%. And you'd look at that and do that exercise for your business. Another thing you could do is go, okay, well, maybe I need to look at my pricing model because I don't think we're going to be able to have capacity to bring more in. So we need to look at other ways that we can bridge that gap. So maybe we'll look at the pricing model and review that. And then you've got the tools to be able to do that. This can go on and on. So instead of you blindly making choices of what to do in your business and knowing where to invest your time and money, you now have a game plan. You've got a map. And so what I'm building out, so the first stage, I'm got this Business Brains money method that you do to really analyze and understand your business. And then the second stage is once people have identified all these areas or the different areas or different things that they need to work on and where they need to get, I have then got the tools. So, okay, if you found that you need to get more leads to achieve that, here's the tools that you have to do that. If you found you need to review your pricing to achieve that, here's the pricing calculators and the pricing methodology you should use to do that. If you found you need to reduce your costs, here's some calculators that can use to help do that. And that's how I built out this system and this program. So there's some big stuff coming in the way that this is going to look. And this Business Brains Money Method is now or in the future going to be the pillar, the foundation, the first thing people are going to do when they work with me to understand where they're sitting so we can really, really look at their business and clearly articulate what they need to do, and then we'll have those different levers that they can do from that point on to improve their business. I am offering or putting together an offer to implement this into people's businesses. So if you've listened to this and you're like, holy shit, Sarah, this is exactly what I need for my business, reach out to me, send me an email at sarah@businessbrains.co or reach out to me on Instagram. Let me know this is something that you're going to or that you're interested in. I'm going to put together a package where I come in and work with you to implement this in your business. And then once we've implemented it, we have a monthly catch up for 3 months following the implementation to look at your numbers and really get your head around this and look at ways that you can implement this into your world. So I honestly like this. This is a game changer, guys, that now that I've, having that way to manage your money, which I first had was one thing, but now having this, being able to use that to just completely change your business and know easily and simply, like, you don't need to have a degree to be able to understand this system. It just makes sense. It just is good money sense. So, yeah, very, very excited about this, guys. If it is something that's of interest to you, reach out and let me know. And I will be rolling out a bit more info about this as time goes on. Chat to you soon. Bye.